Shoot, we could probably do a whole episode on just funny stories, or maybe several episodes. If you and I started talking about funny stories, you sure you want to get started on that?
Better life, better vision, what you wanting? Let's make it happen. Time to choose the better story. Come on. Choose the better story. Hey, choose the better story. Yeah.
Hey, welcome back everybody to another episode of Choose the Better Story podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Wright. And this is a podcast about vision, mindset, performance, and purpose. And I'm super excited. I have in the studio with me today my good friend Dale. We've known each other for quite a while. When I was doing youth ministry in Paradise, I first got connected with Dale because Dale was working with Young Life at the time. Yep. I think you were in construction, but I just always appreciated your heart for the youth in our community, and I shared that same passion. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really excited to hear a little bit more about your story, what makes you tick. And so let's hop into just some like really simple things. Tell us a little bit about your family and your upbringing.
Well, I kind of had the opportunity to grow up with my parents because they were really young when I was born. My mom was 15 years old. Really? Yeah, and my dad was 18. You know, had a younger sister, and we had a great family. It was really good. I have lots of fond memories of going camping and water skiing and different things like that. My parents were my dad especially was full of adventure, and so that was kind of the way I grew up.
That's where you got that from?
Yeah, okay. I think so, from my dad. Yeah.
Yeah, I think of a video I've seen of you. I think you were jumping off of a high cliff into the Feather River, probably.
Oh, I don't know. That couldn't have been me.
Yeah. I think you were flipping, or what's the one where you flip back? Is it a gainer?
Yeah, backwards flip. Yeah.
Yeah. So you know adventure. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, love adventure. Yeah.
And you moved to Paradise about what age?
Well, actually, moved to Sterling City. We had a cabin up there when I was about 8 years old. We lived in the Bay Area, and so it was our summer cabin. We would come up and go water skiing and motorcycle riding and camping and all those fun things. And I can remember I was about maybe 10 or 11 when my dad said, "Hey, I think we're going to move up there." And to me, that meant nothing but adventure. What I just said, riding motorcycles and fishing and hiking and all the stuff that a kid loves to do. And so we moved into that house, and my mom, I think, was willing at first, but then realized that Sterling City was pretty far away from everything.
Yeah, it is.
So after about a year and a half or 2 years, maybe, she said, I can't live here anymore. And so we moved to Paradise, and but I still would go up to Sterling City a lot. Back then, all you had to do was stick out your thumb, and
you could get there.
Yeah, as a young teenager, I would hitchhike up to Sterling City all the time because that's where my friends were, and that's where the adventure was.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Love it. So tell us a little bit about what was your first job and your first car?
Well, my first car I got when I was 12 years old.
Okay.
My dad bought an old Peugeot for $50, and I would just. In Sterling City, there was no police or no law, so
it was like the wild
I
West.
had my own car at 12 years old, driving around, and mostly, we would use it to go down to the river. Well, it didn't last too long on those dirt roads,
right?
So, I was using my grandpa's truck. It was an old 1961 stepside, had a big engine in it, and so we would go down the river a lot in that. But my first real car, I think, was when I got into high school, and I actually had a license.
First legal car? Okay.
Was a little Datsun Roadster, and that was fun. My dad had one, and he had a passion for them, and he found another one, and so we fixed it up, and it was just a little, convertible Datsun Roadster. It's what they made before the 240Zs.
Right.
Yeah, so that was a fun little car, and I hung on to that for a long time until I realized it was nothing but work in a money pit.
Right, yeah, which is the case for a lot of people when they turn 16. They get a car that's can tend to be a money pit. What was your first, the first thing you remember doing to make money?
The job.
First job.
The job. I had the best job. So when I was a sophomore in high school, they had this program called the CETA program. And so they help teenagers when they turn 16 to get a job.
Okay.
Well, the job was actually working at the high school with the custodians.
Really?
Yeah. And so that doesn't sound glamorous or anything, but basically a custodian's job was just to be there for the most part. You know, they had a couple hours worth of work, and then it was just to be there for safety. And so I would help them, you know, and I would work with all of them, helping them get their job done. But the rest of the time, I had access to the wood shop, the metal shop, the gymnasium, the weight room. Anything I wanted was at my fingertips.
Like all access.
Yeah, so I would spend hours there just doing different things. You know, I could work out in the weight room. I could build things in the wood shop. And so I had that job my whole my sophomore year, my junior year, and my senior year. And it was the best job ever. I mean, it was so fun. And, you know, I got to know all the teachers. And,
right.
Yeah. And just, it was just a blast.
That's really neat. Like when you think back into your high school years, like what's, and you know, Paradise is kind of a small town. What was like your favorite part of like being a teenager in a small town?
I think there was a lot of freedom in a small town to just, you know, do different things. Like, you know, I shared before, I had a passion for being in the woods and fishing. And so that was all just, you know, in our reach and so much, unlimited, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still spending time exploring new areas in our, you know, where we live. It's just awesome.
Right.
So.
Tell us what's unique about your family.
We're definitely special. In fact, we joke around. We have a song that we sing. It's like our family theme song. I'm special, so special. I want to have some of your attention. That's true, but seriously, I've been fortunate that I've had family in the area. I mean, like cousins, uncles, my own immediate family, you know, which a lot of people don't have that.
Yeah.
And so I feel really blessed that I've had most of my family nearby. And, you know, and you take that for granted. And so I feel like I said, like I'm very fortunate for that. So.
Yeah, I mean, this week alone, I mean, it's the holiday season, Christmas time, and I know so many people that got family all over the United States, and to spend time with family is like, it's like a tug of war, you know, who's going where, and but when everyone's close by, it really is a blessing.
Yeah,
it really is a blessing for sure. So what are some things you've done in your working career?
Well, after high school, the job I told you about, I got into construction, and I really liked it. I actually was going to go I got accepted to a school to be an architect, and because I did that all through high school. It was in drafting, and it was it sounded really exciting, but I realized I didn't want to just sit behind a desk all my life, you know, drawing. I loved it, and I figured I could make that part of, you know, my career of being in construction. So I got in working with a contractor, and that was a blast. But started having a family. Sherry and I got married early, also, and
following after your parents.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. So
to tell you the ways.
Yeah, my youngest was born when I was 18.
Okay.
And or no. I turned 19. Yeah, we got married when we were 18.
Okay.
You know, I really felt like there was not a lot of career opportunities in our small town for starting a family. And my uncle and all my cousins and a lot of friends were working in the Bay Area for this big company down there. And he gave me the job offer, and I had turned it down at first when I was about 18 years old. And so he offered it again when I was around 22. And so we took it because by then we had 2 kids.
Yeah.
And so that was a big move because it was culture shock. Moving from Paradise, growing up in Paradise.
A small town.
And moving to the Bay Area. But I had a goal. And the goal was I was only going to stay there for 10 years and just try to get ahead, buy a home,
Mm-hmm.
and so I had this goal. And the job was so awesome. I hated living down there as far as the rat race and everything.
Yeah.
But I had the coolest job you could ever imagine. I was the guy that you saw hanging on the side of those big high rises.
Oh man.
Yeah, and I didn't realize
Really?
that. Oh yeah, I didn't realize that at first
Oh.
because I went to work for a painting contractor and I was supposed to learn the painting trade. This contractor, he was amazing. He had a crew of about 200 people, and it's because he got his hands into everything. He was doing restoration work.
Okay.
So I got on the restoration crew, which was the crew that would go and restore these old high-rises in San Francisco. And it was hard to find people to do that because you had to not be afraid of heights.
Yeah.
You talked about the cliff jumping and stuff.
Right.
That was like adventure. It was an adventure to me. And not only that, I was with my cousins and some best friends that I had were all working down there too. So we were the restoration crew. And even at one point, a buddy of mine and I would we were the crew that would go around and set up the rigs on all the buildings.
Yeah.
So we didn't even have to do the work. Our job was to just go around and set up, the scaffolds that would go up these big buildings. And
Oh my
so, yeah, that was
goodness.
adventure. That was really a blast. I loved that job, hated being where I was.
Yeah.
So after 8 years,
Did you have any close calls? Like I'm thinking like of the worst possible scenarios when you're working with heights. Like, was there anything that was actually scary, or was it pretty under control while you were there?
I don't know. I don't know if I should talk about that. My wife might be watching. Yeah, there was a lot of scary moments. I can remember a funny story is you'd have inspectors that would have to go up these and inspect the building. And a lot of them...
They didn't want to go up there.
Oh, no, they didn't want to go up. And so we would take them up and sometimes on the bigger buildings, you'd have to push over these ledges. And then as you got higher, the wind would start blowing and you'd have to hook up to these window washer hooks, they call them,
Oh my goodness.
just to keep the scaffold stable. And these guys would be freaked out. They'd just be gripped to the rail, and half of them would only go up a few stories and be like, okay, that's good enough. Well, let's go down. But yeah, there was.
So if you're in San Francisco and you're in a high rise, it was probably never inspected.
not the upper part of it. Yeah.
Yeah, the lower part,
Yeah.
first two floors are fine.
Oh yeah, they
after
looked
that
great.
okay.
But yeah, it was an adventure, and it was a serious thing. I mean, you had people's lives in your hands, including your own.
Yeah.
And I never really had any serious accidents. I don't even think close calls, but you learned a lot because every building was different, and you had to set up the rigging differently for it. And
Yeah.
so, we would get to do all the engineering and everything. So that was a lot
Okay.
of fun. Yeah.
And so did you stay there for the 10 years or did you?
No, 8 years.
Okay.
8 years. Actually, after 8 years, I felt like I always had the dream of coming back to Paradise and starting my own contracting business. And so that was the goal,
Okay.
was to get ahead down there. So we bought our first home, fixed it up and sold it, and then ended up coming back after 8 years. And one of the motivators was, you're probably too young to remember this, but the big earthquake in San Francisco.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
in 91, I believe. Yeah. Anyway, I was...
It happened while I was at a football practice.
yeah.
I didn't feel a thing, but
The two things that happened, the Bay Bridge that broke
yeah,
and the Cypress structure that collapsed,
sure.
I drove over those every day. And so we had just come home an hour before it happened.
Wow.
And I drove across the Bay Bridge and the Cypress structure.
Huh.
And so that kind of was an eye-opener. I was like, I'm done with this. I'm done with this because I could have easily been there.
Yeah.
Only by the grace of God was,
Right.
where we spared through that because it was pretty serious. And almost exactly a year later, most people probably don't remember this, but there was a 20-story crane that fell over in downtown San Francisco. And I was working on that job when that happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's when I just went, okay, for sure, we're out of here now.
Yeah.
And
So back to Paradise?
Back to Paradise, and
Okay.
started my own business, and just having a great time doing that. I felt like I was more established, and Paradise was more established. I had a lot of contractor friends who needed help, and so it was great.
And how long did you do that in Paradise? How long were you a contractor?
Until I went into brewing, but I still am a contractor.
Yeah.
I still have my contractor's license,
Sure.
and and I do. Well, I haven't for a while, but I was always doing side work, and even if even having another career, which eventually happened. Yeah, I got a real job.
Well, do you want to talk about that?
Oh, okay. We're going to talk about beer now. Huh?
Yeah. Let's talk about beer. This is something that'll be fun because I actually don't know much about this. I'm gonna probably ask some really dumb questions, so be ready for that.
There's no dumb question.
But I guess as an intro into what you currently do, well, what do you currently do?
Right now, I'm the brewmaster at Feather Falls Brewing Company.
Okay.
In Orville.
Yeah, and I want to
casino.
hear the backstory of that because it's a really intriguing story. Yeah. But just so everyone knows, because I am about to ask some really stupid questions, they're going to seem really stupid, but this is my experience with beer. So you're going to this is how much of a rookie I am. So when I was a kid, my parents would take me to the fair. Mm-hmm. And every year we would go to the fair, we would go into the section where all the animals were at, the cows, the horses, the pigs, the sheep. And whenever an animal would pee, my parents would name that pee after a brand of beer. I know. Yeah. So that's how I grew up. So
it must have been Coors.
Yeah. You had the Coors pigs. You had the Budweiser pigs. Yeah. You had the Budweiser cows, the Bud Light cows. Any beer you could think of. Whenever they would pee, they would basically call that animal and say, yeah, they're making beer. And so that's been my association.
Might have been true. I don't know.
So that's been my association. So every time I have thought about drinking beer, it's like my mind goes back to how, and it totally worked for me. It didn't work for my brother at all because my brother, he loved to drink. But So I'm gonna ask some questions that might sound really dumb because I haven't even ever drank beer before, and it's not because I don't want to. It's because I have mental associations from my childhood. My parents scarred me, I think. But tell us a little bit. How did this whole beer thing start up in your life to become what you're doing now?
I guess my story is a little bit similar. When I was tasting beer as a young man, my dad always drank cheap beer, and it just didn't taste good. I didn't like it. In fact, I could probably even associate it with pee.
It's like cow pee, right?
Yeah, and you always hear those stories too. That's made out of. Yeah. Anyway, and then every once in a while, the friends that I hung out with, they would of course drink beer because they wanted to get the buzz.
Right.
Every once in a while, they would have like a European or a Canadian beer, and so I would taste that, and I'd be, wow, that's different than just your cheap Budweiser or Coors, and kind of liked it, and so I sort of became a connoisseur, I guess, and craft beer was just starting around that time in the early 80s, and so I started tasting that, and I'm like, this is different. This is really good, and it wasn't like, for me, an opportunity. I never felt like, okay, I just want to drink for the buzz, It was like a wine drinker or somebody. I loved the taste, and I wanted to try different ones and different styles, and I was kind of into that whole craft beer, just experience. Yeah. And so that's kind of how it started. And then years later, my son-in-law, he could see that I like craft beer, and he was into it too. And so I had friends that were home brewing, and so anyway, my son-in-law got me a Mr. Beer kit.
Okay.
And so it's just this little kit that comes, and you can make your own beer. And it had, I think, 3 different recipes. So,
okay, you're gonna have to explain to me because again, I don't know anything about beer. What is a Mr. Beer kit? What's it made of? What is that?
Well, it would come with the yeast and the little barrel that you could ferment your beer in, and it was basically an extract. So they would take they would speed up the process by making an extract instead of, having to steep the grain and all that stuff. It's a big process to make beer. Well, this was simplified. You just heated up the extract and then added the yeast and then let it ferment.
Okay.
And then you had beer, And so he gave me one for Christmas, and I said, oh, that's cool, and kind of stuck it in the closet and then forgot about it. And so the next Christmas came, and he was kind of like, hey, so what about that gift I gave?
Did you take it back?
Yeah, I was just like, oh, yeah, okay, well, all right, let's do it. So him and I got together, and we made the 2 or 3 little brews, and it was good, and kind of had fun with it, and some of my home friends that I knew that were home brewers, they said, oh, if you really want to get into it, that's not the way. That's kind of the, person who gets a kit for baking something really cool or something.
Yeah, it's like beer for dummies, kind of making beer for dummies.
Yeah. So anyway, they told me, you could get into making homebrew. And so I kind of got intrigued, and I was like, yeah. I mean, anytime I have a hobby or something, I go all out. So I made this whole big brew system with their guidance, and had my own home brew system and made a couple batches. And
this is like right out of your garage?
Yeah, just right there in my garage.
Okay.
So, we were steeping the grain and going through the whole process. And so I entered a beer into a local competition that I'd heard about. It was the Chico Homebrew Club. And I got the best of the show. And it was like, wow. So then all those guys were like, well, now you got to join the club. I mean, So I joined the club, and, and just was having a blast doing it and learning stuff. And, it was just one of my hobbies that I really became passionate about. And,
nice. Yeah, so can I call you the beer man? Is that a fair thing to call you? Are you the beer man?
Yeah, you can call me the beer man. Okay. I've been called way worse.
Okay. So you entered a competition and you won, and now you're in a beer making club.
Yeah, it was just a homebrew club where you get together. They'd have a monthly meeting, and you'd share, everybody would share their homebrew with each other, and then you would talk about it and critique it, and it was really cool, and so you were learning,
Yeah.
A lot of times those guys would bring their bad beer just so they could, so you could experience, hey, this is what not to do.
Okay. The mistakes, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So.
Yes. And then you obviously learned through all of that. And what are you doing now?
Well,
in the beer career,
I was still in construction, and a job offer came at Feather Falls, and I heard about it through the home brew club, and that was actually the only place I got posted, because the brewmaster there wanted to hire somebody with passion. Basically didn't want somebody that had experience or schooling. And so I thought, wow, that's cool. That would be cool. That'd be all right. That'd be, but Sherry, she's like, you need to apply for this because you're just, you're working construction and it's hard work, and this could be something that, that you love to do. And so she encouraged me to apply, even though I was like, nah, I mean, they're not going to hire me. I don't have the schooling.
Right.
She's like, it says right here they want somebody with passion. That's you. And so I said, okay. And anyway, I ended up getting the job and worked there, learned everything about commercial brewing. It was just myself and the brewmaster for, the first couple of years, and started hiring a crew. He had this great idea to go and start our own brewery. And so we left there and we went to open Mulberry Station, and that was an experience, because that's when a lot of stuff happened that really made that difficult, like the fire and COVID. And so, I mean, but anyway, I did end up back at Feather Falls, and that's where I'm at now.
Sure.
After the whole Mulberry Station thing got on its way, I actually went back into construction, because after the fire, it became every contractor's dream,
Sure.
I mean, there was people asking me to do work, and they weren't asking how much it was going to cost.
Right.
Like,
just help.
So so I was like, okay, this is awesome. I'm going to go back into construction and be able to pick and choose the type of work I want to do. No more getting on roofs and that type of thing. But Feather Falls was relentlessly pursuing me to come back there, and I was resisting, but they finally made me an offer that I couldn't refuse, and so about 1.5 years of that, I went back, and I've been there 3.5 years now, back there. Wow. As the person in charge, so that made a difference too, being able to be the one that can call the shots and or help call the shots. Yeah.
And all of this started because of a hobby in your garage.
Yeah, Seth giving me a Mr. Beer kit.
Man, Seth, man, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was. It really, when I think
it was a
about
Christmas gift, right?
Yeah.
Man, a Christmas gift designed just to have fun and experiment turns into a full career out of your garage. That's a unique story. I love that. Yeah. Right on.
Still having fun doing it too.
Let's talk. I mean, you mentioned the fire. If you don't mind, let's talk a little bit about that. Obviously, Paradise, California, decimated by a massive wildfire in 2018 that kind of leveled the entire town. How did that directly impact you? You guys lost your home and everything?
Oh yeah. Okay. Home of 25 years.
Yeah. And walk us through that season a little bit. How was that for you, for your family? And how are things now? Obviously, 7 years later, but, how did that go down for you? The whole campfire thing.
I was home that day because, it was our anniversary. And so Sherry and I took the day off and we were going to celebrate our anniversary. Yeah. Otherwise I would have been in Chico that day because we were in the process of opening or building that brewery, Mulberry Station. And so anyway, I was home and we were sitting out on the deck early that morning, enjoying a cup of coffee, getting ready to go out to breakfast, and there was a new restaurant in town. I forgot which one it was, but we wanted to try it out, and looking up at the sky going, wow, look at that orange sky. That looks so beautiful. Because, we're on the west side of town, and then immediately I'm getting phone calls from friends in Chico going, wow, Paradise is on fire. I'm like going, really? No, it can't be. And we'd been through that before where it's like evacuation, there's a fire threat. So we kind of thought, all right, we had a box of important papers ready to go, but started walking around the house. All right, what do we need? If we get evacuated, we're going to need something for a night or two. And really wasn't taking it seriously, Yeah. And so
that was the case for a lot of people, because you're right, we'd had a lot of warnings before.
Yeah, and so we just kind of packed up a few things and mainly left because I didn't want to get caught in a traffic jam.
On your anniversary.
Yeah. And so we packed up a few things and took off and headed down the hill. Well, I mean, we were in Paradise for a few hours just trying to get through the traffic at that point. Mm-hmm. And so, we ended up at the bottom of Paradise driving through some flames. I mean, not like some people's stories, but we got out of there. Yeah. But by the time we got to Chico, we're already calling hotels and
everything's
nothing available.
Yeah.
So we ended up in Redding for about 6 weeks. And so we're in Redding with a son with a disability, Lance, Lance, who thrives on routine.
No routines after the fire.
There was no routine.
Wave those goodbye.
So that was difficult. Instead of doing the normal things like people were doing, trying to figure out their insurance, we were trying to figure out how we were going to keep Lance on his normal routine and what were we going to eat. And so, and plus we had a 100-pound dog with us too.
Oh, man.
Who got left behind but survived the fire. We got him
really?
We got him a week later.
Oh, wow.
Miraculously. Yeah. I mean, that's how much we thought we were just going to be back the next day.
Right.
We didn't even take the dog with us.
Yeah.
Which I look back and regret, but we were in that mindset.
We'll be back.
Growing up in Paradise, I would have never thought in my wildest dreams that the town was going to burn down. I would have bet probably all my money that could never happen.
Yeah.
And it did, so. But it, it did change us like so many people, I mean, I've heard you talk about it before, how it wasn't just, if it was just you losing your home, you'd have people surrounding you and coming alongside of you, but it was a whole community.
Right.
And to lose that, and and your whole church family, all the friends that you grew up with, people scattering.
Yeah.
That's what was so different and weird about, and really hard to deal with.
Yeah, it's not like you could call your buddy and say, "Hey, can we stay at your place for a few nights?" They lost their home too.
Yeah.
And then the people that they would have called, they lost their home too. Like, yeah, it was like a compounding effect, where it's like everyone was at a loss at the same time.
Yeah.
And you couldn't get a hotel nearby because all of them were booked.
Yeah. And I think some of the things, I think you asked about, what did I learn out of that situation?
Yeah.
I remember right away thinking, okay, so all my stuff, I had contracting tools, homebrew equipment. I mean, it's like, I'm never going to be
you're Mr. Beer.
Yeah, never going to
Mr. Beer.
Never going to be able to replace all that stuff, but you come to this reality at a point, at least I did, where like none of that stuff really matters.
It really doesn't. Yeah.
And it took a long time, but you gain this perspective that is just so different that I don't think I would have ever gotten from that fire, where that stuff didn't even matter.
Yeah.
And really the outcome now, when I look back, is we really gained out of that situation. I live in a brand new house right now that we never had a brand new house. It was always something that we bought and fixed up.
Right.
So, God was just so good through all that. He blessed us with a new home, and just a whole different environment, a new awesome church, all the stuff that you think there's no way that could be replaced, and already have stuff again. I remember thinking when we lived in Paradise in that same home for 25 years, we can never move. I got so much stuff.
Yeah, I know you didn't have to move.
Yeah, now we got stuff again. Not as much, hopefully. I feel like I could move if I had to.
Yeah. So you went up north to Redding. We went south, so we were in Roseville.
Oh, okay.
And we were there for a couple weeks, and then we actually got a spot in Chico at the Embassy Suites. And my goodness, it was like Old MacDonald's farm at Embassy Suites. You mentioned like a 100-pound dog. I mean, people had all of their animals. I mean, I saw a pig going through the hallway. It was wild. And of course, everyone is devastated from the fire, and people are finding out, that their home didn't make it. And it was really wild. But we were on a night-to-night basis. So we got in there, and they said, you can stay here, but you're going to have to hop rooms. So every day the Wrights are packing up all their stuff, which is the equivalent of, fitting in one box, and hauling our stuff, across Old MacDonald's farm to another hotel room. It was pretty wild.
Yeah, we spent 6 weeks in Redding, and it was actually really cool because I don't know if you remember, but just 3 months prior, they had gone through that fire up there. So the people were so compassionate and so awesome and helpful. And, even the hotel owners, so, they didn't charge us to have the pet, they just said, just, keep them. We couldn't find anywhere to get back into Chico. No rentals. They were already taken. Yeah. We had a second home that we owned in Paradise. And so we thought, well, maybe what we need to do is just buy anything and just live in it, and that will eventually become our rental. Because I had to be in Chico because I had that business going. And so I was making a lot of trips back and forth. And poor Sherry, she was there with Lance by herself a lot. Yeah. So anyway, about 4 weeks in, there was nothing even left for sale. And everything that was like inflated.
Oh, yeah.
There was bidding wars going on.
Skyrocketing prices.
And so we found I think we looked at 6 houses, and there was maybe only a dozen of them left. And there was 2 of them that we just put in a bid super high over the price. That's what the realtor told us to do. Just praying to God that we would get it. Find out, that there's 8 other families bidding on the same home.
Right.
Anyway, by the grace of God, we got a home, and it was pretty nice. And we lived in it for 2 years, but I had to spend about 2 weeks kind of fixing it up and, putting in new carpet and new flooring and painting it and all that.
Yeah.
So poor Sherry was up in Reading all by herself with Lance. But I'm trying to get this house ready to move in so we could at least settle into something and have some kind of normalcy for Lance again.
Right.
So,
yeah, wild times.
Yeah,
really wild times. When we were up in Roseville, and there were several families. I was surprised. There were several families from Paradise and families that we knew. The first night that we all were there after the fire, I think it was 2 or 3 in the morning, fire alarm goes off. And we were like, are you kidding? Yeah. So they were super kind, but they were making cookies for all the campfire survivors.
Set off the alarm.
And they set off the alarm. Yeah. So
Here's your cookies.
It was funny because I remember opening up the doors and seeing, some of the people that we knew that were next to our room, and we were like, is this a joke?
Yeah.
This is a terrible joke. But no, they were super kind and very hospitable.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It
They
was
had
awesome.
restaurants every night that were like donating food. So so it allowed us all to be together and process, not just our family, but several families. It just out of the generosity of that community, it was really, really humbling.
Yeah. I mean, even from the beginning, too, I can remember as soon as Sherry and I got to Chico, which was hours later, all of us had to pee so bad.
Yeah.
It's like, where do we stop?
Yeah.
First place we stopped was the Handlebar right by Winco there. And they had just opened up, and it's like, we just need to use your bathroom. They're like, all right. And then you're going to stay and have lunch, and it's on us.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Yeah.
And so we weren't even thinking food, but we were hungry.
Yeah.
And so right away, from the very beginning, it was just amazing how the community came together.
Exactly. Free anniversary lunch. You can't beat that.
Well, oh my gosh. From now on, the campfire anniversary is the same day as our
Wow. We didn't get to talk much about, you spent years working with youth in Paradise, with Young Life.
Oh, yeah.
You've got to have a couple really good, funny stories from that season of your life, because that's how we first connected. It was you working with youth. And that's why I've always been really impressed with the person that you are, because you had a job as a contractor, and you were donating your time to serve the youth of our town through Young Life. But do you have any funny or embarrassing or good stories that would be worth sharing?
Shoot, we could probably do a whole episode on just funny stories, or maybe several episodes. If you and I started talking about funny stories, you sure you want to get started on that?
Maybe just 1 or 2 nuggets.
Okay.
And if we have to have you back for funny stories, let's do it. That would be really fun.
Oh, it would.
Because I've got no shortage of them.
I think we could go on for hours, dude. And I'd probably have a sore mouth from just laughing. I could think of several just from the youth weeks that we do, the milk chugging contest and how inventive kids would get with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I guess a couple that stick out was in the beginning of ministry, because you're not sure how to do it, and you're trying to do fun things with kids. And so I remember, the CMA would always take kids on that awesome camp trip up to the High Lakes.
The High Lakes, yep.
And so I thought, man, that is so cool. And I'd been on a couple of those, and I thought, I think we could do that with Young Life. So I got together with James Robbins and a few other guys and said, I really want to take some kids on a camp trip, and we'll go up to Campbell Lake, and try to do something on a way lower scale than, So we threw it out there and had about 19 kids, I think, and 5 or 6 vehicles just tooling up there. And I remember going up over the Devil's Staircase, and then when you're coming down the other side, you kind of got that little drop off. Well, the kids, half of those kids never even been camping in their life, which was, I didn't even kind of think about that, but I realized it as we were going up there. They're just like wide-eyed, and so we kind of get
scarred.
Yeah, so we get to the top, and I'm leading the pack in my truck with a few kids in, and but everybody's just trailing right behind each other because we're going so slow. And I stopped because I see this rattlesnake in the middle of the road, and so I stop and I put it in park, and the kids are all like, what? I go, snake, rattlesnake. They're like, huh? So yeah, so I go running down there, and I find a stick, and I got my pocket knife and pinned him down, and cut off his head and grabbed him and walking back up there, and they're just like, and I think back now,
like Bear Grylls or something.
Oh yeah, I think back now, I laugh when I think about kids going home and telling their parents about being at youth group. Here's their leader walking up there with this
big old snake.
Yeah, the snake. And by that time, all the other kids are out of the car wondering what's going on, and so they're like, "Oh, whoa, you killed that thing!" Yeah. I go, "Yeah, you don't want them around your camp," so I usually try to do that. And anyway, they're like, "Well, what are you going to do with it?" I go, "Well, we're going to take it with us and cook it and eat it." They're like, oh, they were all like grossing out, like, "No, I ain't going to do that." No, I go, "All right, well, we'll see." So we brought it back, and I cooked it up, and all but one kid had a bite of that rattlesnake.
There we go.
Yeah. And I thought that was so funny. And then even one of the kids was like, "So I've seen on TV where you can stretch the skin out and make like a bandana or a belt or something." I go, "Yeah, we could do that." So it was a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she wanted to. She did the whole thing. I showed her how to do it. We stretched it out on a board.
No way. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then I think she had that probably all the way up until the fire. Yeah, for years after she was an adult. And,
that's a good one.
That was one funny story. And then another one, we were always looking at the cool things that your youth group did, being in a big church.
Sure.
And I remember that hot seat that your Uncle Phil built. I was like, when I saw that, I said, "We got to have one of those." So my dad, he's all into making stuff, and so I kind of got him and my uncle together. I said, "I want to build this. I have no idea how to do it." And so anyway, we figured out, and I took pictures of the one that you guys had.
Right.
So we built it and just had a blast with it. But I remember one time, so one of my leaders, you remember Steve Watson?
Yeah, I do.
Just a character, man. He hated that thing. He was so scared of it because we would always sit on it,
Right.
Kids would, but he had this crazy fear of it. And so we took it one year to Mexico with us, and we wanted to have it as part of the skit. And the speaker was going to be interviewing the leaders on it, and if they got the answers wrong, similar to what you guys do, then they would get zapped. And so we told Steve, he was part of the skit, and so he said, "You got to do this. It's for the kids," knowing that he would never even sit on that thing.
Yeah.
So he would go over and he would like sit on it, and then he would jump up. And so the speaker was another Young Life guy, and it was so funny because he would wait till Steve kind of was all relaxed, and then before he even asked the question, he would hit it. I mean, we got like 100 kids on these trips to Mexico, and and tons of adults, and they couldn't even get through the skit because he would sit down and the leader would go, "Okay, I'm going to ask you a question." He'd go flying off that thing, and then he wouldn't sit. He'd be like, "All right, sit back down." And then he would just let him sit there for a while and ask him a question, and he would be like, kind of get relaxed. It was just hilarious. And the kids were laughing so hard. It's just so fun. Yeah. Like I said, I look back now and just picture kids going home and telling their parents.
I don't know if that would fly in youth group today.
Oh, I know half the stuff that we did, I know that milk challenge got banned in Young Life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I've got lots of memories of people going over to the rain gutter and just throwing up all their milk. Yeah. And then people showing up to church that following Sunday, and it just smells to high heavens over that whole section.
Yeah, good thing we were by the drain every time. I remember Phil would say, "Yeah, we got to do it right here," because there was a big storm drain.
I know.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, we got to have an episode just about youth ministry stories.
Yeah, I think we have plenty for sure. Let's turn the corner here and talk about curveballs. What are two big curveballs that you've had to deal with in life? Maybe besides the campfire, because I think we already talked about that. Are there any curveballs that come to mind that you've had to deal with in life, and how those curveballs have maybe shaped who you are and made you a better person as a result?
Definitely have had some curveballs, including the campfire. I would say the two biggest ones were having a son with a disability and then a grandson with a disability. It's just something that you really would not wish upon anybody, you know.
Sure.
I mean, and it's not all negative. You and I talked about James a little bit before, you know. You just have a heart for someone who can't navigate or function like somebody who you would call normal.
Yeah.
And it's heart-wrenching, but at the same time, there's so many blessings behind it, you know. Like for my son Lance, everybody to him is the same. You know what I mean? He doesn't have any kind of racist or probably, you know, he
judgmental.
no judgmental thoughts in his mind.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's actually a danger, you know, that can be dangerous for him. But there's times where I go, I wish I could just view people that way, you know. I wish I could view
There's something
people.
beautiful about it.
Yeah, it's something beautiful about it. For Lance, it's more of a emotional, mental thing, you know.
Yeah.
Behavioral.
Yeah.
For James, you know, his is a physical disability.
Yeah.
So you have you know, this passion for that and this heartfelt, you know, gosh, you know, he's so limited, but he doesn't let that, you know, stop him. That kid is so amazing.
Yeah.
He's
What
not a
kind of
kid
things
anymore.
is he
He's
teaching you as grandpa? What is he teaching you?
Oh, he's taught me so much how to just, I mean, he's so resilient, you know, that I oftentimes I think, could I be that way if I was in his situation, you know?
Yeah.
And just his love for life and his love for God is just, it's so amazing. It's just, I look at him and I just go, man, inspiring, you know? But yeah, those were two curveballs that life threw at our family. And, you know, and it's a constant challenge. It is, you know, I'm not going to, you know, sugarcoat it, but it definitely has drawn me closer to God. And because you really can't go through things like that, I don't think, without, you know, having a hope and knowing that not just those two are going to be whole again, but all of us are. We have that hope. So.
Right. What would you say are your two proudest moments in life?
Oh, that's easy. Having kids and having grandkids.
Okay.
Those are the two things. My kids have been such a blessing, and then their kids have been such a blessing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to find out. Being a grandpa is, I mean, you're a dad, and you know how awesome that is.
Right.
Being a grandparent is just, it's like on steroids, man. It's so cool.
There's probably a reason they put the word grand right in front of it.
I know, exactly. And I never thought that, you know, until it happens, you don't really experience what it truly means. It's just those are definitely my two proudest moments.
Cool. I think that'll kind of tie into our last question. Then I'm going to kind of turn it over to you to just kind of talk about whatever you want. So my last question, and then you can fill in however you want, is what is one thing that you wish everyone knew about Dale?
You know, that's a tough one because I feel like I'm pretty transparent. Everybody knows I love adventure. I'm passionate about people. And I think if I could say one thing that I really, truly wish people knew about me, it would be that my love for God, my love for Jesus Christ in my life. Because, you know, I spent the first half of my life pretty much just, you know, thinking about how can I succeed? What's going to benefit me? Yeah. And being a follower of Jesus kind of turns that upside down, you know. It's like now my mindset is, how can I serve others, you know? How can I help you succeed? And, you know, I've been in leadership, like we talked about. Even my job now is leadership. And really, they call me the brewmaster, but my job is really to just come alongside these guys that, you know, are way smarter than I am, and just give them the tools that they need, and just come alongside them. And that's the perspective that God gives you, and it's such a blessing because it's basically the opposite of what our world is like, you know. Everybody being out for themselves. And anyway, I'm passionate about people, and I want to just come alongside them and help them the best way that I can. That's what a true leader is, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, and if it's okay, let's talk about that just a little bit. Cause well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for having that mindset. And yeah, you're right. There's a big difference between having the mindset of, hey, what can I do to earn more, to get more,
Yep.
to be more, self accolades versus, how can I serve more? How can I be a good example? Mm-hmm. How can I be a reflection of Jesus in my world, in my everyday world?
Exactly.
And obviously that's served you very well, even where you're currently at as a brewmaster. It's like so ironic. Like you're a brewmaster, but you're also a leader and you're making a difference. You're making an impact in your place. How would you say your faith is impacting those people around you in a positive way?
My job place is a casino. So imagine that as a ministry field.
There we go.
Yeah. The thing that's built my faith the most is just trying to do what Jesus did. And that's, you got to go out into their world. You got to go out into the world. You can't expect people, Jesus just didn't sit in a church going, okay, well, you guys come to me and then I'll teach you about,
see me.
Teach you about God. No, he was there. He was in the midst of it. And that's really what I feel like I want to do. And that's, it builds your faith because it's a scary thing to do that.
Sure.
But when you do, everybody has a story, and they want to share it.
Yeah.
And it gives you an opportunity to share your story in the midst of that. You know. And so, it's exciting, and definitely just being around people and being in different environments and going out there is a faith builder for sure.
Yeah.
So
Love it.
yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I think, again, I'm excited about your podcast, Ryan, and I'm excited to keep watching the people that you have on here. And, I think it's going to not only have a great impact, but, it's going to be inspiring to others. And really that's the bottom line, inspiring others to not just know how to choose a better life, but to know God, and really that's the only way that that a better life is going to happen, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been really good. I appreciate your passion. It's funny you mentioned, many, many years ago, your wife said, Dale, you need to, put in your application for this job because they're looking for a person with passion. And as I'm listening to you, I'm like, yeah, you definitely have passion. You've had a passion for serving youth in the past, which is how we connected. Yeah. You've got a passion for loving people. You've got a passion about your faith. You've got a passion about serving your community, even in a casino setting, which is incredible. And so I just want to say thank you. Thanks for the encouragement about the podcast as well. It's been, I'm enjoying this, like just being able to sit across from someone like yourself, just to get to know you a little bit better. And I've got other people that I've already done interviews with or lined up in the future going to do interviews with. And it's just fun. It just allows me to love people and just get to know like what's going on in their brain a little bit and the good things and the tough things that have happened in life. Yeah. And thanks for making time to do this. I think it's incredible that what you're doing now started from a gift from Seth, right? Yeah. A gift from Seth that turned into let's just try this out as a hobby in my garage. And now you are a brewmaster. I think that's like a really crazy thing. So like maybe
I gotta pinch myself.
Yeah. So maybe the better story is like expanding your mind to embrace this idea of you actually are capable of doing way greater things than you can ever imagine. And sometimes it just comes in the form of something you're already passionate about, something you already just enjoy doing, and turning that into a way to generate and provide for your family. Yeah. So it's really, really neat. Dale, thanks for your time today.
All right.
And as we head out, I just want to remind everybody that you are the hero of your own story. Mm-hmm. So get that cape out of the closet, dust it off, and go make something special happen today. You got it.
Right. A better life, better vision, what you wanting, let's make it happen. Time to choose the better story, come on. Choose the better story. Choose the better story, yeah.